Live from the studios, welcome to JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk lives. Well, ready or not, here we come. Ricky P and I are back in the studio after a little absence. So, Ricky, ready or not, football is coming.
Football's coming, and let's get to it.
But first, I gotta praise Mr. D. Nanas. His Snelling the competition. Blake Snell for the Tampa Bay Rays behind the glass. The guy's showing off the jersey right now. He's wearing the throwback Devil Rays jersey. Jeez.
Oh, the one the whole MLB's banned? Well, it's good that he finally got it back out of the closet.
They still make them purple. They got purple and black.
It looked like we were at a retro concert when he walked in here, but let's get to football. The Rays are out of business. They're going to be in the
selling for sure.
Let's talk about teams that have promise.
You're right. And before we get to baseball, we're going to get to some fantasy football. And it's never too early to do a PPR mock draft. Ricky and I are going to give you our top 10s each, and we'll go from there. So, my friend, you started off. First round, I've got a top 10 pick. Where am I going?
So, I got to start with the running backs. PPR. These three candidates that I give you, these are guys that are going to make plays out of the backfield, not just running the ball, but they're going to catch it too. Almost seem like they might be wide receivers at time. You can't go anywhere else but Le'Veon Bell. A lot's been said about him in terms of, is he the best player on that team? Is he the most talented? He certainly is the best fantasy player. He's always on the field. He's reliable. I'll go David Johnson, followed by Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was a stud last year, but people forget about DJ.
You'd put David Johnson ahead of Todd Gurley.
David Johnson ahead of Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was used a lot, more than people realize. That Rams team really relied upon him. But David Johnson, I know he's coming off an injury, but he's also fresh.
Okay.
He got hurt in the first game of the season.
Good point.
So those are my top three, and I think it falls off a little bit after that. I'll give you my top 10 in order, and we'll compare. I'll go with Zeke 4, Antonio Brown 5, DeAndre Hopkins 6. He's my second wide receiver. Julio Jones at 7. Then we go back to a few running backs. Kareem Hunt, I think, is going to follow up with another good season. Not like last year. He's on the radar, but I think he's going to do well in that division again with Patrick Mahomes side by side. Melvin Gordon, who was an absolute beast last year, and Alvin Kamara, I think, rounds out my top 10.
Wow. Okay. Well, here's Puma's top 10. So at number 1, I'm going to give a little surprise, and we're going Todd Gurley. And for the reasons that you did mention at 3, the usage, and what's big for guys like us, volume. All right, I know he's in the wide receivers in that offense, that LA Ram offense. I don't know if you could count on them. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, the new acquired Brandon Cooks from New England. With Jared Goff, third year, I mean, he should ascend to the next level, Wentz level. But you're always going to lean on that good running game. What's his name? The coach. McVay loves. What am I? I'm losing my mind here. McVay. It must be the new haircut. McVay does a lot of creative play calls, and he always gets Gurley in the right situation. So I have him going number 1. Number 2, Lev Bell, and this is basically a preference thing. You're either in Lev Bell's corner or not. And I believe he'll have a slow start to the season just because of the contract talks.
Well, he did last year, too. He struggled for the first 3 weeks, and once he got going, some of these guys we've seen in baseball, the first 3 weeks, it's their spring training, it's their preseason, it takes a while. So if you throw out the month of September, he was by far the most productive back in the league.
And that's a killer for guys like us in football because every game is the last game 7 of a World Series. You got to win every week unless you're like 13-0, then you could care less. But every week is prominent, and I say Gurley 1, Lev Bell 2. 3, I have David Johnson. Again, it's just a preference thing. I think they're going to work him in there slowly. Like you did say, he does have fresh legs, but he is coming off a major surgery, and that's right now the new look to their franchise with Josh Rosen going from Larry Fitz. At 4, I have Antonio Brown, which is, I think, the safest pick in any draft. We are talking about PPR.
You know what you know what you're going to get.
You know what you're going to get.
He's productive. He's always on the field, and he plays with an edge.
And tons of targets.
He's going to get the targets.
And I would say my top 5, you could put them in any order. And My 5th player is your 10 player, Alvin Kamara. And this basically stems from Mark Ingram getting suspended. Because now, you have a great quarterback in Drew Brees. But we saw without Alvin Kamara, he got taken out of that Thursday night game in week 14, I believe. He got hurt against the Atlanta Falcons, again on Thursday night. That offense couldn't do much, and Atlanta came back, marched down the field, scored, and won. So I believe the offense now runs through Alvin Kamara.
So where do guys like DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones fall?
Well, they're coming. I think, for me, DeAndre Hopkins is right after Kamara at 6.
So I had him at 6. Okay,
right.
So we could skip that one.
Okay, and at 7, I have Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay.
Just from a volume standpoint, and you're getting Ezekiel Elliott
He'll bounce
at 7.
back. He'll bounce back.
But I just feel like, listen, I'm an owner of Ezekiel Elliott, but it's just hard because you're going to see a 9-man box, 8-man box every time.
We'll get into that.
No
we'll get into the Cowboy offense in a little bit.
But. Then at 8, I have OBJ because any play could go for a home run. At 9, I have Melvin Gordon, stud in LA.
Same spot.
And rounding out the order, Kareem Hunt.
All right, so we have
Pretty
Hunt
much.
and Gordon towards the back end of that 10, and we have DeAndre in that second. If we go 1 through 5 as your tier 1, round 1, we have tier 2, round 1, and DeAndre Hopkins is right at the beginning of that.
But if you notice, no Julio.
Right, and that's... I look at Julio Jones as the best pure wide receiver. If I'm starting a team, one season, I'm taking Julio Jones. Now, Antonio Brown might be the most productive, but Julio Jones is that 3rd and 8 type of guy where I need him to go a little curl. I know I can get Julio the ball. I can also throw it up to him. I can let Antonio Brown kind of run across the field, and that's where he's dangerous. It's a lot of the yak yards after the catch. But
right.
Julio Jones is one of those guys. He's going to go up and get it. He's performed in the playoffs.
Right.
That's one of the reasons I didn't have Odell there. So I think it's a preference thing. We'd love to have Odell when he's healthy, but...
And hey, if you're doing a snake draft and you're sitting there at 10, you get a Kareem Hunt and come back and get a Julio Jones. That is a sensational.
Your draft.
You've won.
All of a sudden,
the draft.
Right? You won the draft, and that's why we've talked about it. It's sometimes winning the championship stinks because you're at the back end, depending on how many teams you're in.
Right.
But if you do what you're supposed to do and you do it right, all of a sudden you're now snaking around and you're getting the player 10 or 11 or 12 and 13. So it really depends on how your draft works. But you can really kill the draft just because you're the champion.
Right. And every week we'll be doing some fantasy topic. So moving forward, we'll be doing a division once a week as well. Today, the NFC East.
Do we have to? Fine. We'll do it. We're here in New York.
We're in New York. Philly just won the championship. We're going to do the NFC East first. Burning questions. My first question. Can Dallas survive the wide receiver committee they have following Des Bryant leaving and Jason Witten on Monday Night Football? What are they going to do?
I don't know what they're going to do. I look at this team, and realistically, I think they're going to be last.
The box is going to be loaded every time. You're making Dak Prescott trying to win games.
I say they're going to be last. You lose Bryant. People forget about Jason Witten and his departure.
I think it's worse than Bryant. To be
right. People forget about that. For Dak to get 3rd and 5 and dump it to him for a 6-yard catch, it doesn't help you fantasy-wise, but he helps you win football games. You have weapons. You have Zeke. They just added Tavon Austin, but reports out of that camp are they want to use him in the backfield. I don't really understand that. But then
gimmick plays. Those are gimmicks.
Terrence Williams, I mean, he hasn't really done much. And Cole Beasley, he's a slot guy. They added Allen Hurns. And I guess Dak Prescott in his own way is a weapon, but I don't see it. I don't see the Cowboys doing much on offense.
I feel like Garrett and Linehan have to maybe look at some more college systems and maneuver plays, gimmick plays to catch teams off balance. But this is the NFL. They are going to catch on very quick. They caught on to the Wildcat. People are catching on now to the RPO a little bit, West Coast offense. I believe for Dak to further his growth, they need to get a wide receiver. I mean, Marquise Gallup in the 3rd or 4th round that they got, who they just drafted. How much you're going to really lean on a young wide receiver? Well, they
could have gotten a few wide receivers, and they drafted Van Der Esch, the kid out of Boise State. We like him, but
how many times do we talk about? You had DJ Moore sitting there, and you had Calvin Ridley sitting there, and you had Cortland Sutton, and who they love from SMU. So you had
hometown kid too down there.
You had all these options, and I feel like I don't know. I just didn't like the choices they made. I hope, why do you take a risk on a guy who's had injury-riddled history when you have already guys who have injuries? Sean Lee, Irving has off-the-field problems.
Randy Gregory.
Yeah, from Nebraska. Yeah, the former pass rusher. They thought he was God, the next Lawrence Taylor.
Their whole team is an off-the-field problem, and you can't do anything about it. These kids have talent, but when you take on these guys, you have guys like Greg Hardy. He's in the UFC now. He's fighting in the UFC. I mean, these guys they present problems off and on the field, and maybe for the first time the Cowboys are trying to move past that and get the right culture going. But at some point, you need talent as well.
I gotta get excited. I gotta get excited for Alan Hearns.
No, I don't think they addressed it. I think we could both agree that they didn't address it, and they have to contend with teams like the Giants, the Eagles, and the Redskins.
I think they're the worst team in that division right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's a hot take. They should be better than the Redskins in theory, potentially better than the Giants. We'll see, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, talking about the Redskins. Can Alex Smith be the man in D.C.? They gave him $90+ million for 5+ years. Is he the man, and is he worth it? I mean, to me, I feel like that's a discount compared to what everybody else is getting.
Well, I think Alex Smith, when we define the man, can he get me to the playoffs? Absolutely. I think he's done it for the Chiefs. When he finally got things turned around in San Francisco, he was a major asset for Andy Reid. We've seen what they've done in the past. They lost to that Colts team. I think it was 45-42 when Andrew Luck first broke in. It was an offensive shootout. He wasn't the reason they lost the game. They have the talent. They just drafted Darius Geist. They have Thompson. P. Ryan was pretty productive last year. Crowder can make plays. Dotson. Hopefully Jordan Reed could stay on the field, and Vernon Davis. I think he's solid. Kirk Cousins has the higher upside. He also has a very, very low downside sometimes with him. He turns the ball over a lot, and I think...
Well, that's the one good thing about Alex Smith. He's not turnover prone. He protects the ball. That's what he does. He's a great leader. I feel like, he really brought on Kareem Hunt. They're implementing that RPO, and he could run. He's a dual threat. He did that at Utah, and I feel like Andy Reid got him in his comfort zone, bringing those plays with the Chiefs.
I think the Redskins will definitely have a better year. They might not. Kirk Cousins provides the higher end sometimes, but Alex Smith, I'll put it right now. I guarantee you that team goes 8-8. I'll guarantee it with him at the helm.
And you got that second-round pick, 59 overall, and Darius Geist, who they've been searching for a running back. They acquired Samaje Perine,
and he was
from
productive.
Oklahoma. He was all right, but he's like, he's not flashy. And then they had Fat Rob.
Right.
Not flashy guys. They need to get back to those 80s Redskins with John Riggins pounding it through the B-hole, Power O, and let's get to it. And Alex Smith can't hold an octane offense by himself. And I feel like that was a great choice in getting Geist and playing around the strengths.
They need a Clinton Portis. That's what they need. They haven't run the game like Clinton Portis, and
the U.
I think Darius Geist can provide that. I really do. I'm a big believer, and I think for fantasy guys out there, I think he could be a late round ad, potentially a free agent down the road, a plug and play type of guy. I think he's got some upside.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Moving on, we have the New York Giants. OBJ, is he getting paid?
No. I hope not. He apparently...
He's a clown.
Reports are he wants $20 million. The guys...
We share the same birthday, by the way, November 5th.
Yeah, maybe he'll get on the field by November 5th. He's a good guy. I think he's got a lot of Johnny Manziel in terms of he's got a bad rap sometimes. Yeah, and he's a little out there as a character, but last year he played 4 games, and since his rookie year he went from 109 yards per game, 97 yards per game, 85 yards per game, and 76 before he got hurt. And so I'll just leave you with these numbers. Antonio Brown makes $17 million a year. Mm-hmm. DeAndre Hopkins makes a little over 16, and Julio Jones is making just over 14. Odell Beckham's not close to $6 million better than Julio Jones. Do you think so? Is he $20 million? He's breaking the bank. We're not talking 17.5. We're talking a legitimate $3 million more than the most productive wide receiver since Calvin Johnson.
It goes both ways. I believe OBJ has the most talent. He could take.
But we don't pay these guys for talent. We pay them for production.
Exactly. And now, if you go by Julio Jones, you're paying for pass production because
Or Antonio.
Well, Antonio as well, but OBJ, I feel like he's still young enough where you're still paying for future production. I mean, Julio's been in a Super Bowl, all right? He's had the numerous foot problems. It's always been televised. He just saw Matt Ryan get a big deal. Now he's, moaning and groaning. And I feel like that's what Arthur Blank did wrong, giving Matt Ryan such a deal so early, because Julio could say, I'm the face of this franchise, and you're giving a guy, Matt Ryan, but the quarterback always gets paid. So you know what? I'm going to hold out before I get a knee injury like OBJ, and I'm out for the year. So all these guys, they want to get security.
So you're not paying him. You're not giving him 20. That's what I'm getting. Are you giving him 20 or not? Are you giving it? Because I don't think he's as productive as some of these other guys who are making less. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not giving it to him. Because you know why I'm not giving it to him? It's not even off of the production. The production I could live with. It's just for the mere fact of, I don't know how he's going to put my franchise in that light. Is he going to do something stupid down the road? Let me wait and see, and let me see how things turn out, because you have a stud running back you just drafted in Saquon Barkley. He comes to camp. Maybe he gets re-energized, sees him in a preseason game go over somebody, jump into the end zone, and score a touchdown. He says, you know what? Maybe I'll put my differences aside, go play, and hopefully Saquon has a good effect on him. So let me play the wait-and-see game.
Well, you know one team that's not struggling? That's the Philadelphia Eagles.
That in the brotherly love,
City of brotherly love. And I got to ask you this. It's tough for teams to repeat. Tom Brady's done it before, but it's tough. Do you think that they can repeat? Do you see them repeating as Super Bowl champions off of last year?
It is tremendously hard, especially...
you got a target on your back now.
You got a target on your back. Your schedule's tougher. They did lose some players, but they gained some players. I feel that they have the personnel to do it, and I think they have a very good shot in doing it. I mean, just keeping Nick Foles alone is a great insurance policy. If Wentz can't finish the season again, hey, there's a Super Bowl MVP on the bench.
Who proved himself last season more than him? I mean, he was unbelievable, and he was a career backup in a lot of people's eyes. I think he proved he can start for a lot of teams right now.
So I think their best acquisition was just keeping their MVP on the bench.
And sometimes that's the best, just to keep the guys you have in place. It's not going out and reassuring anything. Shoring up holes. It's just keeping your culture in place.
Yeah, and that offense, Doug Peterson, done an amazing job. So I think they have a very good chance, but you got the Rams and the Saints. So
yeah, I think it's tough to repeat just because it's tough to repeat. And I think that division, we talked about the Giants, they should be better. I think the Redskins overall will get better.
They'll beat up on the Cowboys.
Right, they could beat up on the Cowboys, who still can put up some points. And how Sean Lee's healthy,
but who are they stopping?
Right. Well,
they can't play defense, so they'll score 30 and Philly scores 40. Right.
So the only reason I say it's tough, forget about the target on your back. You lose LeGarrette Blount. I know he's not great, but he's a winner. He did it with the Patriots. He did it last year, and he brings a different type of edge to your team. And another key guy, they lost Trey Burton. Yeah. Trey Burton is going to be now in Chicago. He's finally going to get his own opportunity to really
with Nagy offense.
Right, and I think those are. It's not even about the starters because he wasn't better than Ertz and Blunt's not better than Ajayi, but they lost their backups, and I think that's going to hurt.
So it's safe to say they're good to repeat because they're just so loaded.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, moving on, we do have some mailbag questions that we would like to get to. We always surpass them because we're always answering our own topics and what's going on in sports. But we do have some mailbag questions that have been sent to the JFP Sports IG, so we'll read them to you. Earl from Nebraska wants to ask us, can the Yankees survive through the playoffs with the pitching that they have now? Now, I mean, I would think that's an abomination just to stay with Johnny Lasagna and Herman and CeCe and inconsistent Tanaka and Sonny Gray. And then Severino. What's your take?
No, just go out and get someone. We have four guys. We've talked about them: Archer, Hamels, DeGrom, Syndergaard. They got to go get one of those guys. Like someone. I don't want a back of the rotation type of guy. I don't want another Jordan Montgomery from Texas or Jordan Montgomery from Tampa. Go get someone that's.
But you see, everybody keeps bringing up this J Happ, right? J Happ.
I don't want J. Just keep what you have in place if you want to go get a J.
Exactly.
Get someone big or don't get someone.
Exactly. But you know what? I think the best and the safest move, you get a Cole Hamels. I feel like the Cole Hamels is this year's Verlander. Rejuvenate his career. He gets on a winner, gets on a streak, and he's a lefty, which the Yankees need desperately.
Yeah, no, that's a good move. Go get Hamels. He's been there before. He knows how to get it done. I think that'd be a good
experience. The best winner. Next question, John from New Jersey. This is a fantasy football question. I play in a 3-player keeper league PPR. I have 4 options: Gronkowski, Julio Jones, Tom Brady, Duke Johnson. Please help me. Oh, and P.S. The QBs in our league, 6 points for touchdowns, because I know usually in other leagues it's 4 points, but 6 points.
Where's the help needed? Why is this a question?
Tom Brady was just rated the number 1 player in football.
How are you not starting Tom Brady? And how are you not starting his side-by-side man, Rob Gronkowski?
But I kind of get the question, because it's
Well, who would you be subbing out? Julio Jones, I said Julio Jones.
You're probably going to laugh at me. I'm probably subbing out Tom Brady, the best player that was probably... And I'm going to give you my reason. Duke Johnson, right, was utilized 65 to 70.
6 points for a touchdown for the quarterback.
Correct,
not four.
But it's the same question backwards. You could get somebody else in the later round, keep the talent, and maybe you even redraft Tom Brady if you really want to, and you keep everybody.
I don't see Duke Johnson as a top 20 play ever.
But Duke Johnson is one of those guys that you fantasy guys know this. You wait into the later rounds, probably 5 and beyond, and you get him. Now I know they drafted Nick Chubb. And I know they signed Carlos Hyde, but they just signed Duke Johnson to money. This is I feel bad for Chubb. Chubb is going to be the one not playing, because you got Hyde, and on 3rd down they're bringing in Duke Johnson Jr. for receptions, because this is a PPR league.
Well, if we're getting into Browns wide receivers, I don't trust those guys with a lick. I don't trust Josh Gordon to be on the field.
The wide receivers.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't trust the wide receivers.
And a young quarterback, so dump it off to the running back.
But I could see Duke Johnson splitting. I see Duke Johnson and Tavon Austin in the same boat. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you have to line Duke Johnson up right behind. I think he's even more utilized if you split him out. But this isn't even a question as far as I'm concerned.
It's not for you.
It's Brady, Julio Jones, Gronk. I can go get a Duke Johnson anywhere.
Well, the same question for Gronk, because Gronk could be Mr. IR.
If he's healthy?
Well, if is always the biggest question mark.
I had him last year.
Uh-huh.
And
he won you
he's one of those guys who single-handedly wins you weeks. Duke Johnson's never going to win you a week. Brady can win you a week, and Julio Jones we know can win you a week. I want the guys that if I'm keeping on my team, at least when I have my friends look at me and say, why'd you go 5-8? I'm looking at him like Julio Jones tore his ACL or Julio Jones whatever. I'm not going with the wild card.
We both agree that Julio's in that mix, and more or less Gronk.
Right, so it's really Brady
or Duke. And I only say Duke for the mere fact of not only because I'm a Jets fans out there, but it's mostly because running backs, as soon as the late 3rd round to 4th round, it becomes ghost town. It becomes ghost town. I could get Duke Johnson and get a Phillip Rivers or Drew Brees and maybe have the same production. And if you notice, the last 3 years, Brady had these great years and he had the suspension, whatever. But the last 3 years in the playoffs, week 13 and beyond, other than a Raven game, which 2 years ago, 2016, he's been awful. Awful. How about last year, week 14 against the Miami Dolphins? He had probably 9 or 10 points.
Well, Duke Johnson's going to have his... I think we're going to just have to agree to disagree. But we're not sitting here like Duke Johnson's Le'Veon Bell.
No, he's not. But it's kind of like a supply and demand type of deal. And also, they gave him the money and the opportunity is there on 3rd down. And it's Baker Mayfield is coming in whenever. Short, intermediate passes. And I believe he'll get the looks.
That's a good point. It's
just another way of looking at it.
It's another viewpoint, exactly.
So finishing up with the mailbag, because we have a lot, we'll definitely be getting to more next show, because I know Ricky's got to get out of here. Power rankings, MLB Power Rankings. Your top 5 off your head real quick. What do you got for me?
First 3 teams in the AL is real simple. Astros, Yankees, Red Sox. Astros have the pitching. They also have the lineup. I think the Yankees, they'll come around. They'll get another arm, and I think they're better than the Red Sox. The Dodgers and the Cubs are coming, though. They're coming. Kershaw's on his way back. Maeda looked good the other night. Quintana went today. He was so-so, but I think that Cubs lineup's coming around, and I'm going to go Astros, Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, and finishing out with the Cubs.
Okay. And I got to commend you because 3 weeks ago, Ricky P had said the LA Dodgers are coming for the West. And you know what? He's right. In my power rankings, my top 5, I have the Boston Beantown Red Sox, 2, Houston Astros, 3, the New York Yankees, and 4, which no one's giving any love to, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Christian Yelich, 7-year Yelich team. They got to get more press. And 5, rounding it out, the LA Dodgers with Kershaw making his start back today.
Yeah, no, I like the Brewers right outside the top 5. They're just a little young. I don't know.
For me, the pitching. They need the pitching.
Yeah, they need another
right
starter.
Now,
they have the back end of the pen. They have Hader, Jeffries, and Knebel.
Knebel just came back.
Right. I think they can do a good job there. They need another starter, though. They're not matching up with the Dodgers, and they're not matching up with the Cubs pitching. They're just a little young. I don't know if guys like Aguilar can hold up, and Yelich hasn't really been in a playoff type situation. I do love the team, though. I really do like that team.
I got a deal for you because usually, sometimes if you can't strengthen already what's weak, let's strengthen what is already strong. So you had mentioned they have a strong bullpen. Why not do a deal with a Baltimore Orioles, get a Darren O'Day, Brock, and now you have a loaded bullpen, and you having guys coming in in the 4th inning.
Well, that's what the Yankees tried to do, and it worked. They were using guys like Chad Green and Canely, and you got to the 5th inning, and you were the other team. You were looking like the Astros or some of these other teams. Like we couldn't get to the starter after 4. It's over, and maybe the Brewers should do that.
Maybe that's another way of looking at things. That's a Plan B type of look. So, Rick, your picks to click. So far, we are 1-2-1. Ricky, I'm 1. And Ricky's got the 2 wins, and we tied 1. So my hitter for this weekend is Giancarlo Stanton, and here's the reasons why. He's batting .441 against lefties. He's going to see all these 3 lefties against the Red Sox, and I think this is the weekend that makes him a Yankee. You know, you had those moments with Tino Martinez. You had those moments with Jason Giambi in the rain against Minnesota. This is Giancarlo's weekend. He's playing against lefties, and he's a Scorpio, like me.
Yeah, no, I love him. My guy's Jose Ramirez for the Indians. He's got Blackburn, they're going against the Athletics. Blackburn over an 8 ERA. Edwin Jackson looked good in his first start. I don't think he's that good overall. There's a reason he's been on 13 teams. And Montes just got crushed versus a decent Tiger lineup.
Thank God I sat him in our league of record against Ricky.
I think Ramirez goes off this week. And my pitcher on the other side, Luis Severino, there were talks about him not even starting Sunday night, but I think he's the first 12-game winner of the MLB. I think he gets to 13, and he knocks off the Red Sox, who struggled in his career versus the Sox, but I say he bounces back this week.
Yeah, and I think a future all-star starter this year. Definitely. My pick as a pitcher, Seth Lugo for the New York Metropolitans. Hard luck loser. I mean, he's been pitching the last 3 games very well. Just errors been killing him. His fielding team is not good. The WAR is not good. But I think the kid will pitch his heart out. And playing Miami, how bad could it get? And he's a November baby, Scorpio. You see the
trend.
You see the trend? Okay, folks. So please, as always, subscribe to JFP Sports on YouTube channel. Follow us on IG Sports at IG. Please send us mailbag questions, and we will always answer them. So, in the good words of Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Goodbye, folks. Until next time.